There have been protesters arrested in the United Kingdom over the fact that they do not consider King Charles to be their king, which means that they're not British citizens then. But of course, leftist activists are all of a sudden wondering what happened to free speech, and we have a very excellent explanation here from Sargon of Akkad. We abandoned free speech by creating a category called hate speech to protect minorities against discrimination for the way they were born. It turns out that the smallest minority in this category is the royal family. Hate speech is not free speech, Aaron. So it's very difficult to contradict the fact that the people who do not like King Charles is specifically because of the way he was born. And this is what's happening in the UK. They do not have free speech. As such, they cannot protest against King Charles because it is hate speech. However, what I do find fascinating is that every single time right-wingers bring up an issue, the left considers it divisive because there's only two ways of viewing the world. It's the normal way, which is the left way, and everything else, which is far right. The left is never divisive, and even when it is, people don't point it out. I looked at the United Kingdom with great interest because what should be a unifying event seems to be incredibly divisive, not because it's grassroots divisive, but because the media is trying their utmost best in order to create as much possible division as they can. You see, the idea of the British monarchy is something that unites people in Britain. It's still one of the few things that British people have in common regardless of their political affiliation. But more than that, this particular king seems to be a very progressive individual. He has went to the World Economic Forum. He is an environmentalist. And due to that, even people on the left seem to like him. People on the right like him due to the institution of the monarchy, while people on the left, I have seen many of them, genuinely appreciate his political views when he expressed them in the past, as little time as it happened, but still. And yet the Guardian has ran non-stop, just non-stop anti-monarchist coverage for the last week. And now the BBC itself is writing this bizarre article, which I'm pretty sure, it can come off as, well, in the unlikely event that you're an absolute moron and you do not know how to avoid the coronation in London, here's how. But in reality, it is also just tongue-in-cheek jab against the monarchy, right? Like, you have like this event where people from all over the country and even people from outside Britain join to see, because it's a possibly like once-in-a-lifetime event to see a king being crowned. It's something that not many get to experience. So everyone is going to London in order to see it, and the BBC is like, how can you get away from it? Avoid central London. Westminster will be packed with royal watchers wearing their best Union Jack outfits. If you want to avoid the flag-waving crowds, flag-waving crowd. Yeah, imagine if they would make an article, just so we can fully understand what's going on. Imagine if they were to make an article that would tell you how to avoid the LGBT parade, right? So there's an LGBT parade in London, and BBC would say, if you do not want to join the rainbow waving crowds, avoid Westminster, and this is how you can do it. This is like, what do you think would happen? Like, in case like there are some progressives watching this and they do not understand why monarchists, which aren't just conservatives, by the way, there's left-leaning people as well. Like, if they do not understand why monarchists are outraged about this type of article, maybe this is the way you can explain it to them, right? Like, imagine there was like this big LGBT rally, right? And the BBC would make an article how to avoid it. You wouldn't like it, would you? And they would be like, oh, well, we're just writing it so that people know how to avoid the traffic and get to work faster. So I don't think that would cut it, would it? So they're telling you, like, what roads can be closed. Go offline. Social media will be overloaded with the coronation. See, like, when you go and you instruct people to go offline as if they don't know, you're basically not telling people like how to avoid the traffic area. Because initially when I read the article, I was like, okay, so maybe like they're writing it for some tourists or for people that are busy with work and they don't have the luxury of driving for 3 hours as they're trying to get past the crowd. But no, like they're literally telling you, like the coronation, if it's that horrible to you, go offline, right? Go offline during the weekend, switch off your phone, and apparently time saved on scrolling and texting could be spent in the garden on log walks. What really surprises me, well, actually it doesn't surprise me because BBC doesn't live from ad revenue, is that an online news company, which should want people to read the news constantly, because that's your job, is advocating for people to go offline. It's like me advocating for people to not watch YouTube. Does it make any sense? No, it doesn't. But again, like the BBC doesn't survive from ad revenue. You know, they don't have to work for a living. Just by existing, the British person has to pay the BBC tax, so they don't really care if people go offline and their ratings plummet. But of course, you know, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're a online publication which makes money, but, like, should make money by having ratings, right? Like, that's your prestige. The amount of people that you serve, the amount of people that read your stuff is your prestige. And you're telling people, no, don't read it during the time when one of the most important historical events is happening. You're telling people just, no, go offline. Escape to the country. If you cannot avoid the streets, then go to the countryside. But I heard that that's where the racists are. Like, I seen like a couple of articles on The Guardian saying that how can we make the countryside more progressive because it's too white and they're backwards in their way of thinking. Look for alternative plans. Shocking lack of diversity. I think like this is the least diverse picture that BBC has ever shown in the last 5 years. But it does highlight the modern progressives, right? Like the corporate individuals, the white liberals. I guess like this is what they're trying to depict here. Curl up at home with some of our best content. I love the fact that the BBC doesn't believe that the King Charles in Coronation is going to be their best content. So Wild Isles, apparently, about British wildlife, a very British cult investigates the sinister life coaching company that takes over your life. The English, 6 episodes Western that follows a woman's quest for vengeance. Oh my god, this is something that I definitely need to check it out. Hidden Gems, 13 Minutes to the Moon, the story of Apollo. Okay, so another country's achievements. It is baffling. I am so glad that I'm not a British person, so I suffer under the BBC. It's, like, why don't you make 5 tips on how to avoid the BBC license? How about that, huh? Like, make sure you don't have any television in your house. Make sure. But seriously, though, it's very interesting. The fact that they want to divide people, even in this event, where, as I mentioned before, the left is happy with this king. Like, from what I gathered, like, okay, of course, not all the left is crazies, right? So don't think about Twitter and all that. No. Like, in real life, I'm talking. Like, if you look at the polls, there are left-leaning people, Labour voters, that support the monarchy, right? And the main reason is that this particular king is very progressive compared to all the others. And you can tell about, the meetings where he has went, the people that he has spoke with, sometimes the speeches that he gave to the public. And then you have the conservatives that also support him. So, like, it should be something that unites people. Like, the voices of the people that are against the monarchy are very small. But the media in Britain is trying to make them louder. Let me know what you guys think and why that is, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.